Meeting of the Greenways Open Space Committee, and hopefully everybody had a very nice summer and enjoyable and a very happy Labor Day. I do know we have some members that are absent because of some personal issues, and so we'll speak to that when we do the roll call. But at this time, would you please stand and let's begin our meeting, calling the meeting to order at 5:05 with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good. Okay. We will do a roll call at this time. St. Pierre is absent. Urbani? Here. Weeks, absent. Geist?
Present.
Frucci, absent. Phillips?
Here.
Loveday, our school liaison, absent. And Bloetscher, absent. We do, however, have a quorum, of our 7 members. And so with 4, we will proceed in the rest of the meeting. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda as presented?
I was just going to say a couple words about the guide to the natural areas.
Yes. Oh, okay. Would we like to add that under discussion? Or how about under reports? No. How about, I know what let's put it as a discussion item. Okay, we'll add that to discussion item number 5, and some of these are brief, but this is for the guide to nature or natural areas.
And Bill, I was curious too, also under, another comment about the sign for the trailway in off of Ferry. I know I asked you and you told me it was coming.
Right, we'll speak to that when we talk about trail maintenance. I would like to add 2 items, 1 action item and 1 discussion.
Don't we have to move and approve the?
Yes, we
addition for
can. Yes,
discussion?
okay, yep. Thank you, Mr. Geist. Is there a motion to approve the addition to the agenda in reference to discussion item guide to the natural areas?
So move.
Second by Urbani. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Good. Thank you, Ray. I would like to add 2 items to the agenda. And again, I apologize for perhaps not having those on earlier. Time has a tendency to get away from you when you're haven't had meetings. The first one is that unfortunately I need to change, and we need to talk about the October date of our October meeting. Not to be on October 3rd, but on October 4th, which is a Wednesday.
So that's going to be an action item. Right?
That'll be an action item.
So it's going to be action item number 3?
This will be action item number 3.
Okay. So I guess I move that we adopt.
Mr. Geist moves that we adopt the change of our October meeting date till Wednesday, October 4th. And any second? I will second that. Any discussion? All those in favor of changing the date or adding it as an action item to change the date, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The second thing I would like to add to our agenda is a discussion item.
Is it discussion or action item?
It's going to be a discussion item.
Thank you.
And again, hang on.
It'll be discussion item number 6.
It'll be discussion item number 6. And guess what? I just forgot the discussion item. I'm sorry. I guess unless I can add it might as well add, and talking about a potential millage for perhaps next year. So I will add that, I'm sorry,
For maintenance millage?
for a maintenance millage, or a millage per se. Is there,
So move.
moved by Mr. Geis, second by
I'll second.
Ms. Phillips. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No abstentions. Okay, now we can approve the agenda as delivered and modified. So, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Bonney, second
Second.
by Mr. Geist. Any discussion? All those in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye.
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 Opposed? No abstentions. Thank you. Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our June 6, 2023 meeting as presented by Ray Geist. Did everybody get a copy of those in your
Yes.
packet or
Printed them out.
earlier, right? Oops, sorry about that. And let me just say, thank you, Mr. Geis, for doing such a thorough job in the completion of the minutes.
Yes, I was impressed too.
Mm-hmm. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved?
Moved
Second.
by Ms. Phillips, seconded by Ms. Urbani. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Good. Well, under our first action item, we were hoping to welcome Zoe Loveday as our Grosse Schools liaison, but I haven't heard from her, and perhaps this was the first day of school, and we did change the time of the meeting, so that may interfere with other items that may be going on, or other activities she may have. But again, I think one of our goals is to reach out to the schools more so and get them involved, not just at the high school level, but at all levels, and to get them concerned and involved with open space projects that we have. So I do, and I'd have to check the record on this, we did approve her at our May meeting after we had an interview. There she is. Wow, how's that for timing?
Yep.
Yep.
Sorry, I went to the building
Oh,
behind the middle school.
oh, sorry about that. Here, we can set you up,
Right, so this is Zoe.
Yeah,
This
it's
is-
Hi.
right?
Hi.
Is it Zoe or Zoe? It's Zoe.
Zoe, yeah.
All right, we're live, so you can just go have a seat by Mr. Geist. We were just welcoming you.
Yeah, we were.
Thank you.
Sorry about, and thank you for coming. Had to change time. That's for you.
Yeah, sorry about the confusion about the location.
No,
Yes.
it's okay.
Oh.
It was probably my part.
Well, this is where we meet most often, okay? And then unless there's another meeting scheduled, then we usually end up meeting in the conference room. But this is where we'll meet from this time on forward. Since we're welcoming you and we're on, radio-free Grosse here, would you maybe at least maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe why, why you choose to join the Greenways Open Space Committee?
Of course. So my name is Zoe. I'm 17 years old and go to Grosse High School. I'm a senior. And ever since I moved to America when I was 3.5, my parents, we lived out in the country on the water. We'd go boating all the time. There were foxes in the backyard. Like, we just grew up with so much wildlife around us. And I've always just really appreciated it. My parents have instilled in me, to take care of the earth that we have. So I've been very passionate about it since pretty young.
Yeah, good. And I know you've been a very active member of the Environmental Awareness Club at the high school,
Yes, with the recycling and
right? Well, one of the things, one of our goals is to expand the role of, we were just talking about you as you were walking in, to expand the roles of the schools in terms of like educating, students in the community, but also getting you more involved in other Greenways open space activities, okay? So, so you came at a good time, so we're gonna, but again, I think we're also looking at not just the high school, we want to see if we can expand it to the middle school and elementary schools too, because our belief, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we believe that this starts young, and in order to pass this along to the next generation, this is one of the ways that we can do that, so.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Any other comment or any?
Yeah, is there any, like in the environmental club, your environmental awareness club, is that
Yes.
is the main focus on recycling?
It is. So I don't know if the position is still open for president, but I would say it's very limited to like recycling and sorting through goods, which I feel like as a environmental club, there's so much more that we could be doing.
Oh, yes, that's,
So
I'm the liaison, my name is Amanda Phillips, and I'm the liaison from the Nature Conservancy. And Bert Urbani right here was also on the board of the Conservancy, and we've been trying to, I'm speaking for the Conservancy, but I think also for open space, that we want to expand the interest in environmental issues away from recycling, because it just, not totally away, but I should say that differently. Expand interest in the environment, open space, what the mission of the Conservancy is, and to bring kids into more daily environmental issues, involving, our area and the water around us. It's really a big concern for all of us.
Right, Bert, you had a comment?
No, I agree, and I would, Bill and I were impressed with your passion when we had our interview, and, we're really thrilled to have you here. This is, we're all retirees, and,
Retired teachers.
Ray, you're retired too, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
So, we're very concerned about helping to develop the next generation of conservation stewards. So that's on your shoulders.
Yes.
No, but
Well.
we're all about helping that to happen, And as from your earliest years, when you have that passion from your parents and starting early, it stays with you your whole life. So, yeah, so we're happy to see you. Thanks.
thank you so much.
Yes, welcome.
Ray, have any?
Well, I'm Ray Geis, so I'm another member of the committee. And I've spent most of my life here on Grosse. So. And a Grosse grad too.
Absolutely. Good. We're just going through, so we don't necessarily, in terms of a action, we don't have to, you've already been approved at our May meeting, so we don't have to do that. I think we have to check the township board minutes, and I didn't see anything that indicated this one way or another, that she was approved to sit on this.
Oh, right.
Okay.
There's that, yeah.
Right, so we need to double check that, but once we do, so one of the things that we all have to do is fill out an application, go through the process, like you had an interview process, and then the township board is the one that officially seats us all, okay? So, and again, I made the comment, we'll have to double check to see if they did that, because we took care of, we wanted to welcome you back in May and early June, so, and then we didn't have our meetings, so, but welcome. Mhm.
Bill, excuse me. Zoe, do you have any questions for us?
Just so I know you guys want me to encourage the high schoolers, to be more active. But if you guys have any suggestions, any resources that I can share with them, that would be very helpful.
Well, one way would be to be, I'm going to give the Conservancy a report, and there's a lot of activities as far as walks through the nature center. We have new properties that you can walk around, and I think getting the kids out of the school, you know, into the environment would be really wonderful because we offer a lot.
Right. And not just that, but I think open space, one of the things we like to see is that, you know, obviously if we have like trail cleanups or trail maintenance, well, we'd like to rely on student groups, and like we've already had the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and that involved, things like that, okay? We know Earth Day comes around in April, and a lot of times nothing is done in the schools, and it's like, why? And there's reasons for that. Obviously coming off of COVID and some other, with security issues in schools now. So that's changed, but again, trying to get kids outside, get them more, you know, interacting with the environment is very important.
And
Well,
getting young people from the high school to help with things like dump the junk. you know,
Yes.
So that's, you know, some
Which
of
is,
the.
which is a great segue, by the way, okay?
Yes.
So one of our action items that we have to do is that, and again, you came in, we've already done the roll, we went through some additions and deletions to the agenda, we approved the agenda. There are no presentations today unless somebody wants to do a presentation. I'm sorry I took that out of order. But now we have two action items. We are, again, part of our goal is to have a 2 dump the junk, find the treasures a year. And we had a very successful one back in, was it early May? Yes, so we had it in early May, and again, that may have been one of our biggest and best yet, okay, so that we've had. So we want to continue that, and so we're taking a look at, you know, everybody's schedule, and I can personally speak to my own family schedule. I've got relatives coming in, my kids, so we're going to have to make some adjustments. And so normally we would have it like in October, but the Grosse Educational Foundation is having their gala fundraiser October 7th.
Oh,
And that's coming up. And that's a community-wide event, and both my wife and I are on that board, and so we're gonna be tied up. So needless to say, I would like an action item here, number 2, is to have dump the junk, find a treasure on Saturday, September 23rd, 2023, from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock at the DPW yard, which is just east of here. So, is there a motion to adopt the dump the junk, find a treasure on September 23rd?
So move.
Moved by Mr. Geist,
Second.
second by Mr. Bonney. Any discussion?
So, do we know when St. James is having their rummage sale?
Yes, we do. And Ms. Phillips, maybe can speak to that better. The actual St. James rummage sale,
oh, is the first Saturday in October.
first Saturday in October, but they'll be opening like, is it Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Yes.
Yes, there'll be that, but they'll be accepting
They'll be
rummage
accepting
and
rummage.
furniture or other items.
You know, I haven't heard.
September, I did hear, it was September 18th.
Oh, it was the 18th?
After the 18th, they will
Two-
accept it.
2 weeks.
I can tell this group, and we're in the middle of a, but I just need this clarification. I called Cass Community Services,
Oh, okay.
who we have been using, and Cass Community Services is a local agency in Detroit that you may have seen it even on television, like these small houses for people who are homeless or things that, so they need like stuff, you know, for folks in that regard. That's just one of many programs. But the Reverend Sue, who's who we've worked with for the last couple of years, she's going to be on vacation for like a couple of weeks. And she's the only one that does driving on Saturdays. So she said, not this year. Remember us like in the spring, which we will. So we may want to talk and coordinate after we approve this. Like, okay, can we get another trailer, and can maybe we be selective and bring some stuff to St. James's Rummage, if that be the.
We'll have to check on that.
And again, we'd have to check on that. But right now, we have a motion that's already been seconded and is on the table for a vote. Any further discussion about dump to junk on September 23rd?
Well, Well, the issue that they're not gonna be able to do pickup is gonna be a big issue. And we'll have to coordinate it with St. James about all that. I'm a little foggy on, there's usually been 2 people picking up junk, or, stuff for the rummage sale. And
Right.
didn't they coordinate though at the one in the spring with transferring junk from the church to the dump the junk? Didn't that happen? Because I asked someone about it because I was unclear, and
The offer was there. Now, whether they followed up on that, because the dumpsters were here and they weren't carried off, so
Yeah.
if we really coordinated it. However we coordinate it, I mean, that's,
okay, I'll follow through on that. And
okay, well, let's check.
Yeah.
But is there, can I call the vote on this?
And also, this might be a good event to get some high schoolers.
Yes,
That's
involved
what
in
I
it
was
to
thinking.
Understand a bit what we're doing.
right,
Especially with the student council, they would be very good at gathering
yes,
people.
right, and we need help, and we need hands, because I do know, and I can make this as a matter of public record, Carl Bloetscher won't be there because his daughter is getting married, and so I guess we will allow that as an excuse. But we certainly wish them all the best of luck on that day, and hopefully it'll be a beautiful day. So, but we have a motion that's already been seconded, so I would call the vote and say, all those in favor of the dump the junk on September 23rd, say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Stay opposed.
Okay. Well, motion
I think we have
passed.
more details to work on.
Okay.
I have a
Yeah, but the date's not going to change, is what I'm saying.
Date's not gonna change?
No, that's not going to change, because we can't do it in October.
I have a question.
Yes.
Would it be possible to have student volunteers to make runs to St. James with the? Because I know I have a very large car.
You get into, and I don't have a problem with that, okay? We'd have to probably look at, you get into matters of liability, okay? So we're loading up your truck, you head down East River, you get in a car accident, you're acting as an agent of this body, all right? And whether or not we're able to authorize that in the first place is another story, okay? But the offer is certainly there. But here's what you can do. You can certainly load it up. You can help people load their stuff. You can carry stuff, that has to be there. Generally, the big attraction is that we provide pizza and pop, and that is a lunch, so it's a good,
I think this could also be a really good opportunity for National Honor Society students.
absolutely, yes, very much so. So the more the merrier, but and again, I'm glad you're here. That's what we're doing.
Excellent.
So that motion passed on that. Well, I didn't expect the first day of school that you'd be doing environmental things, except, so one of the things we would ask you to do every meeting is do a report to not only just us, but to the community in terms of okay, hey, what's going on in the schools, or what's happening, with the environmental awareness group. Or you could report, for example, we had 22 high school students who were members of the National Honor Society and, members of the student council come, and, those would be the kinds of reports you would do.
Okay.
So next.
Wait,
yeah,
don't we have action item 3?
We do. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. We should have more meetings in the summer. That's what happens. So I'll have to go back. But that's one of your things that you will be doing. We do have action number 3 that I added, is to change the date of our October meeting, only because I have a family commitment that day. Instead of it being on the Tuesday first Tuesday of the month, if we would have it on Wednesday. And is that the 4th?
That would be the 4th.
That would be October 4th.
I have a commitment on the 3rd, so I would.
And again, we would have it at 7 o'clock, our regular time.
Is that something that the township, since we're televised, does that screw up
No,
that
I
schedule?
think they're okay. I called Brian Friel to check the dates, and he's the one that generally establishes the communications director in that regard, and we did that. But And again, we're only, instead of a Tuesday meeting, we would have a Wednesday meeting. Although if you wanted to have a Tuesday meeting, I don't have to be present. Like I said, I'm gone, and we could have somebody else run the meeting. So however,
Well, Ray is committed on
on the,
third.
on that, yeah, the 3rd also. So do I have a motion to approve the action item of changing our October meeting to the Wednesday, October 4th at 7 o'clock?
I'll move that.
Moved by Mr. Geist,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Phillips. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No abstentions. Good, thank you. I probably should ask you, also, since we've already talked about your reports, if you're involved in any kind of fall sports or anything like that that interfere with?
No, I do have a part-time job, and then I'm in a couple of clubs too, but I am, other than National Honor Society, I'm the president of those clubs, so I can move that around.
Okay, appreciate that. Good to know. Good. Okay, awesome. Township Liaison, Carl's not here. I said I got a late call saying he wouldn't be able to make it. Anything to your knowledge that we know that's going on in the township that we need to be? One of the reasons we changed the meeting today to 5 o'clock was that at 7 o'clock, Grose's own representative, who represents the 21st district?
27.
27th, just kidding. Okay, so the 27th district,
And Darren, our state senator, is going to be here.
and State Senator Darren Camilleri are going to be at a meeting. Why don't you you would maybe tell it better.
Okay, so State Rep Jamie Churches and State Senator Darren Camilleri and Grosse officials are going to be presenting at the Commons from 7 to 8 with some information about the Grosse Free Bridge. So I'm assuming that's funding, and that's all we know, because they've kept it under wraps. But
Yeah, I was looking for a press release and I didn't see anything yet, so we'll see.
yeah, so we're expecting a good turnout, and I think they went there for a decent parking spot, right?
Yes, of course. Okay.
I mean-
No torches or anything of that nature?
Well,
No protests.
No protests, no torches?
well,
We're good.
unfortunately, there was a misguided effort to recall Jamie, and so I don't, so it will probably bring some of her non-fans, but
That's okay. Good. All right. So Mandy, how about the Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy report?
Yes, I have a report. I'll try to go through it
fine.
quickly. We've been
We're good.
kinda busy. The airport natural area down on East River is now open for pedestrian and bicycle traffic from dawn to dusk every day of the year. And I saw, while I was writing up this report, this came up in the news from the Conservancy about regulations for people using the nature area. And it's no open fires, no swimming, no firearms, no feeding of wildlife, etc. I think now that it's open all the time, this word needs to get out about, what, the rules are and stipulations for an open nature area.
Mhm.
So I made a copy of that if anybody wants to see it.
yeah, so Ray sent that picture out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ray,
Yeah.
did you
Good.
will you check this picture?
Yes.
Oh, great. Good. That's excellent.
Is that on the
I
north end?
didn't know it was there, so.
It's right in the gate when you go in.
But on the north end.
North end of,
I'm trying to think where it's located.
at the Gibraltar Bay unit.
Oh, Gibraltar Bay, yes,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, no, the other one.
It's
No.
changed quite a few times, and it's now the airport natural area. It used to be the Gibraltar Bay,
Bay,
the
right.
GBU.
Well,
No.
I believe the GBU is a wildlife service.
Yeah, the GBU that's a Gibraltar Bay unit, that's a unit of the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. So it's everything from that parking lot down, and then the road into the airport that's airport property, which is, that name has changed off and on, but we've kind of stuck with airport natural area.
Yeah, which for an old timer like me, it's very hard, because to me,
Right.
originally it was the nature.
Right.
So
Right.
I have
So
no-
that gate is locked, but there's a pedestrian gate now,
Mm-hmm.
so,
I know what you're talking about, out to
Right.
the seaport.
But that area is blocked off now, which is one of the stipulations for allowing everyday access, unmanned access
Right.
to it, is that that gate to the seaport is closed and would only be open on, special guided tours.
The next event is the Twilight Hike. It's going to be this coming Saturday from 7 to 8:30 at the airport natural area, which ought to be really nice to look for nocturnal life and signs of bats, etc. There was also a lotus walk at the ANA this summer.
Nice.
Yeah, they've been busy. On Friday, September 16th at St. Thomas Lutheran Church, the Conservancy is participating in the Peace, Love, and 60 Community Festival on September 16th. I don't know a whole lot about that festival, but the Conservancy will be there with
It's
their
their
booth.
60th anniversary.
Oh, is that
of the
okay?
church.
60th
Mhm.
anniversary, 60th, okay. We are, now that the Conservancy has purchased a resource center on Macomb Street, they've been very busy restoring the building and the area, the landscaping around it, and they're planning a landscape planting volunteer event on the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of September from 10 to 4 each day, inviting the community to participate in planting the native flora in the new landscaping. And volunteers can attend on any day, like kids could come if they wanted to, and anytime they wish. And bring a refillable water bottle and gloves would be very good.
Oh.
The trails at the Bruce Jones Preserve are now open to the public. And this new preserve is at the corner of Meridian and Bridge Road on the island, going off the island. There is a sign there for the Conservancy. It's kind of back off the road. Parking is available at the pump house on Bridge Road right before the bridge. Doug Thiel gave a great tour last week to the tour to the class of Grosse High School of 1963, whom I knew quite a few people, so I went. And the trail is really nice, very easy to walk, and Doug gave a great speech, not the word I want, a great, of the old growth trees in the preserve.
Right.
There's a 200-year-old tree, and I missed a lot of the names, but it was very impressive with the what the habitat that's there as far as trees. The invasive species removal project at Hennepin Marsh Gateway is continuing. Plants are being installed as part of an Eagle Scout service project. Madeline Jones, with a little help from myself, ran the science teachings at St. James Bible School at the end of July. We're both on the education committee. It was the best part of the whole week, the science and the emphasis on the environment that we did that week.
Cool.
And there was also this summer a dedication of the Bill Heinrich properties on Wendell Court off of Park Lane, of which there is a sign off of Park Lane. It's north of Church Road and south of Horse Mill. Bill was a founder and always actively involved with the mission of the Conservancy. Many of Bill's family attended, which was really nice. And Doug Thiel, again, gave a really nice memorial presentation. Mike Perry, one of the founders, attended and spoke as well. And as a mutual founder, I haven't seen him since we started the Conservancy, so that was really great. So that's about what's going on
It's a lot.
this summer. We've
Great.
been busy.
Good, very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Very good. Pam is back from her world tour, but she is still looking for people I know on the Island Beautification Committee. So if you have any high school folks that want to get involved in the Beautification Committee, that's another area that they may want to do. And I know Theresa had sent 50 welcome letters out, okay, like back in the spring, and whether or not that happens, but I know she gets generally from the realtors the list of new arrivals to Grosse, and so we want to welcome them and get them involved. So as people move onto the island or they move, just say, hey, don't forget about us. A lot of times what we do, we give them that coveted guide to nature areas, the natural areas of Grosse that I know Bert's going to talk about shortly. Anything else under reports? Okay. The next thing is like under discussion items, and that was the item that I wanted to also add to the thing. It's already there. That's why I say this. But it's a follow-up on just a couple of things, and this is just a quick response that perhaps we need to remobilize on. First off, we know that there's an Eagle Scout project going on the area by the thoroughfare bridge, okay? So as you go down Meridian, on the left-hand side, there's a cutout area that is a combination of township property and open space properties, okay? And the young man, Mr. Bonanno, Enzo Bonanno is, I believe, a 9th grade student who is a freshman who's part of his Eagle Scout project. Carl generally had a better handle on that, and I was looking to see if he would do the report on it, but that's something that's going to be ongoing. So we'll be able maybe Zoe, if you can touch base with him as a freshman, welcome him to the school, but also say, hey, how's he? And we'll follow up on the Eagle Scout project. Another item that we had on our last agenda was the Tittle property barriers, natural barriers, that we tabled to this meeting. And again, the Tittle property, and Ray, you can help me on this, the Tittle property is in the area of the new ferry trails that we have built. And when the transfer of property to from the Tittle family to the open space, one of the provisions is that they wanted natural barriers, so because it was close to their house or close to their property, that they wanted to do that. And again, I think we need to follow up maybe with Carl or even the township manager to see, like, okay, where are we at on that? So we have to at least, I think, walk out there and look and see what, might be. But I think that's part of the township is obligated, and consequently, so are we. If that was part of the negotiations of the deal to sell the property in the first place. Anybody else have any comment about that?
And I believe the property is to the west of the trail area itself that we're talking about.
The Tittles, or to the
Tittles?
Tittles.
Tittle.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
Well, I guess we probably need to find out if that's still necessary.
Well, last that when Carl was here and he spoke about it like back in May. It was a question, or even June. It was a question of like the Mr. Tittle when he was alive. It was like no big deal. I think Mrs. Tittle at this point in time now has raised the question.
Oh, okay.
Hey, what about it? Should not have been done, stuff like that. So we just need to kind of, so I'm just saying these are follow-ups, like these are
Yeah,
things
right.
that we had our hand in, and we haven't, since we didn't have a meeting in July and August, it's like, okay, now we're back at it, but these are things we have to just, to obviously revisit. As is the other, and I know the Nature Conservancy has done so, but also the dawn to dusk limitation that we proposed at one of our past meetings, that I think we were, and I had been in contact with Derek Thiel, who's the township manager, and he said, oh yeah, that is something that we would like to see in place to have on, as an ordinance. You can only, you can't be in the, in the open areas or the greenways of Grosse, on the trails after dusk, okay? So when it gets dark, you shouldn't be roaming around in that area. And so, so we need to see where they are at with their proposal of an ordinance.
So we need to have an ordinance proposed and adopted. There isn't anything on the books right now that
No,
is enforceable.
we can make a recommendation, because you've had, and let me give an example, you've had bikers, even in the wintertime, like 10 o'clock at night with their little lights and helmets on, all of a sudden go in through the Meridian Trail, or you see them coming out of another area that, that like the new ferry trail, for example, and it's like, it's dark. It's like, wait a minute. So, but again, I guess we need to follow up and find out where are they at.
Well, who is they? I'm sorry.
The township board or the township,
I don't think it goes to the, I think board approves it, but we gotta go through a different,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe
So we have
Derek
to
and-
find out what avenue we have to face.
probably
Here's
need to go through
the other
manual.
thing about ordinances, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's many times like, I'm more familiar with how schools operate, or even private industry operates the same way. A lot of times you have to have, if it's an ordinance, you have to have like what they call 3 readings of the ordinance. So if a school district, for example, wants to adopt a new policy or wants to do some modifications, and I think municipalities are the same, they have to go, they approve the initial reading of it. You come back a second time to read, there's a public display or a public interchange, and then next thing you know, then you have the third and final reading, and then they vote. So it generally is a process, and again, I think we just need to follow up and find out exactly where are they at in the process, or what do we need to do? Like if we need to recommend, as the, we're talking about signage, if we want to recommend doing dawn to dusk, and here are some of the rules for proper use of open space,
At the
then I think that,
private trails.
right, exactly, yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes, yep. got it.
Okay.
So you want somebody from the committee to,
I'll follow up on a lot of these, and then I'll report back to you guys and let you know what's going on. Is that okay? But that'll be my,
unless Ray
unless Ray,
desperately wants to do it.
right, exactly.
Yeah, kind of. Well,
Usually he works
like
with- he
this
works-
sign, About
he
the
works with
sign
me.
for the, the.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. One of the things I would maybe ask you to do, if you have an opportunity, is that, and Zoe, you should know this too, is that everyone on open space particularly has like a certain designated area that they have to kind of like steward or look at or check out or walk the trails in these areas, okay? And so,
So you're looking for things like encroachment, neighbors that butt up to it that are suddenly, their old cars are getting moved over there, or dumping some, it's amazing how much stuff. That's how Dump the Junk started, was recognizing that people were using open space as dumping grounds.
dumping grounds. All right,
Yeah, so I've lost track of what my property is.
well, maybe we need to refresh that, okay?
Yeah.
Well, first off, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna, I'll ask my question after you.
Okay.
Go through yours.
So here's, generally speaking, okay, we have like five main trail areas, okay? So you have the Meridian Woods that you have. The second one we have is the Playscape area that's been under construction behind the Playscape, or in that area behind the public service office, okay? The safety, public safety building.
Now the
police
post office,
station.
which is now the post office.
Which is now it used to be the old post office, is the post office, okay? but that's another area. Our third area is the new Ferry Gauge Trail area, so the woods, the Ferry Woods. Our fourth area, I believe, is the area on the north end. Certainly we have we have Horse Mill though too, which is a new acquisition that we have. So we have properties there, and then naturally then we have the bird sanctuary, okay, which is also off of Horse Mill and Thoroughfare. So those are areas that we maintain and, try to monitor.
Bird sanctuary, I always forget about it.
Right, I know. Anything, so if we don't have to, we can wait till we get the whole group again, but just to reiterate, like, what you're responsible for. But if you're out, let's do it this way, if you're out and you are wandering on the trail, one of the things you want to look at is what needs to be done or what happens. And I can report that in a second here. Did I miss one?
No, I just, I guess I want to bring it up now, before I forget, but actually Teresa's the one that brought this up, and we don't need to discuss too much before here, but she's talking about on the Centennial Farm Trail and that.
That's
about
the other one. Right.
About the,
Where is it?
Centennial Farm,
Oh,
right, runs east and west and north and south.
she was talking about clearing the trails, particularly the ones between Manchester and whatever, Fourth
Yes.
Street it is.
Yes.
And in the descriptions in that, it says 2 overgrown natural spurs are located to exits in that, which makes me wonder are they really part of the trails that we maintain, or is that something that was basically developed by neighbors in the area?
Neighbors in the area.
And, do we want to sit there and take on responsibility for something beyond what the original intent was?
Well, the area you're talking about off of Manchester, there's that accesses to the Centennial Farm Trail is part of open space. So the one that runs from Manchester, like, to the Centennial Farm, that's part of open space, as is the trail that goes east to west from Centennial Farm to Meridian.
Well, I understand that. I understand it's open space, but my question is it really a trail that we intended to maintain as part of the open space as opposed to the loop that's there that feeds directly from the Centennial
I
Farm
think
property
it's
itself?
been, ever since Daryl Forlarski, for example, bless his soul, when he was here, he was always pretty adamant. He was trying to get a larger expanse of the trail going from Manchester to Centennial Farm. So I think, and if Cliff was here, he would certainly speak to that. But again, I think it is going to be part of our trail system.
Well, that's going to be a lot more work to
And that's a lot more
maintain
work.
that.
Yeah,
Rec
right.
building, right?
But we've had a lot of discussions about
Rec
there.
building, okay.
Right, it's
Okay.
just like the one that goes, and that's two things with that trail, and so you said about the neighbors. Yeah, usually kids, just like the ferry trail used to go from the ferry near Lowry all the way across to Gage, like straight.
Right.
Even if they were encroaching on private property, and people, kids would generally go that route, okay, because they wanted to get from point A to point B, following like a deer trail or something of that nature. But after a while, it gets to be a pretty regular trail. It's called the ferry trails. The second part is that the same kind of thing happened when you're going from Manchester
That's where
to
that encroachment was.
to Centennial Farm. It's the same thing. You had kids over a course of time riding their bikes or people walking through there. And I can't tell you how many times since I live off of Manchester, I walked to Centennial Farm when I had to go vote, or if there was some other event going on. So there's a lot of things. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, it's just something that we need to keep in mind.
Right.
We take on additional responsibilities.
Right, and we're talking about that
It means
too.
there's additional work that's required of somebody,
Somebody,
whether it's
right.
committee or the township.
I
Okay.
can tell you on the ferry, or on the Meridian Woods Trail that comes in off of Meridian here and goes like, kind of circles in like a giant 9, there's a loop. There are two things, is that I talked to John Keim, like in July and August, about getting more wood chips back in there, because it's starting to get overgrown at this time, in August, and now it's September. It's starting to get overgrown, and we want to obviously make it amenable and acceptable for people to go out there and walk on a wider trail rather than to cut through an area that is overgrown or densely, populated with brush or that. But there's a tree down. Okay, so John Kime said, yeah, he's going to get back on the, moving some of the wood chips that they still have behind the soccer fields over here in the industrial park. So there's all that wood chips we had when we had the ice storm, and they're going to be able to put those back on some of the trails. The second thing is that there's a tree down. There's a pretty good sized tree on that Meridian Woods Trail. My wife and I and the dog were back walking in through there yesterday, and the bugs were back again, worse. But there's a tree down that TNT has to be called. So I will generally, the protocol has been that if we see a tree down, we generally call TNT. We can go out, meet them out there, and say that one, whatever, clear it out. So.
That must be new,
Yeah.
that tree.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah, I think so, because it was just the most recent storm. So anything else on trail maintenance?
Well, so the trail that now starts from East River and goes west,
Yes.
are we calling that just part of the Meridian Woods Trail, or does that?
Yes,
Well-
because it goes all the way, you can get all the way through.
Yeah, you can get all the way. I like to call it the East River Connector or the East River Cut, whatever you want to call it. Oh, you're updating the book, right?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. Not quite the DeQuinder cut, but it's not, no, nor do we want it to be. But anyway, anything else on trail maintenance? So we know we have to, so if you get out and, the weather gets better and you want to get out there, go check out some of the trails and then report back and say, hey, we need this, or give us a call, send an email, and we'll see what we can do on that. One of the things that was brought to my attention by a number of people, mainly during that Bill Heinrich commemoration that you had on that property off of Park Lane in that north area, directly across the street is an area that had been purchased originally by the residents, okay? And they pooled their money and they donated it to the open space program. So, and I'm not sure if that's Potawatomi Woods, or there's a sign there that is different than any other sign that we see on Grosse. That is mainly because of the citizens of that subdivision got together and however pooled their money and then were able to purchase that property and turn it over to open space. But that sign is like in disrepair, and that was brought to my attention. And so then I also realized that, well, if you take a look at some of our open space signs that we have out there that designate this area is open space and that, they look kind of grubby, to use just a simple word, okay? I mean, some of them have been out there for 20 years, okay? And it's a distinctive sign, that says, this is Grosse open space, and it says usually the date, how many acres, and what dates it was acquired. So, but I think I would like to maybe have an adventure party go out, or maybe check, and maybe we can divide them up and check the regions. But we should go out and take a look. Some might need nothing more than like some, soap and water and a little elbow grease, and it might clean up. Others might need to be repainted.
So are you like trying to keep up with the Joneses, or should I say the Land Conservancy?
No,
because
well,
they're going through an extensive sign replacement for their properties.
Well, we know that. Yeah.
Trying to figure
And I did have, and I'll be very honest with you and the Nature Conservancy and folks at home. I had a discussion with Paul Glure, who is the president of the Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy, and I also served on that board on 2 separate occasions. Okay, so I'm very aware of the Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy. but one of the things, I know they have some really great new signs, okay, which is good, and I'm not saying it puts ours to shame, but also it's sometimes it's almost like false advertising, because the Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy has like a little corner about as big as this room, and the open space program has everything else in certain areas in the Meridian Woods. So it's like, okay, and I'm trying to just to have a little truth in advertising here, and I'm doing this somewhat in jest, but also seriously. It's like, hey, come on, and I'm not,
Well, those signs for the Conservancy were designed to be different
yes,
than open space.
Yes.
Because everyone confused the two
people
signs.
were confusing them,
Yes.
right? Okay,
No, but I know,
agree.
I know
But
what you
I
mean.
apologize for making fun of you. It's just that, yes, your intent is, we need to evaluate, is it time to
Yeah.
update, replace certain
Right.
signs? Because it's been some time since we've done that.
Mhm.
And there might be some locations too that we
Yeah.
need to
Well,
maybe add additional signage if it
Well,
makes
yeah,
sense.
well, part of it might be additional signage, but you're right. Signs are expensive, and we have a finite maintenance, but it would fall under maintenance.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, we need to at least do a needs assessment to determine, okay, what do we need here in terms of like, how many signs do we actually have? So we might have to drive around, like, and then do an assessment, like, hey, is this good, bad, or indifferent? So we may be dividing up the island open space areas and say, go check out the signs.
Signs.
Okay, and you may have like a simple checklist or a simple, like, here's the areas, and you can see where those are at, and it's just a question of.
Yeah, really good
what-
idea.
But it's just something, because it makes it, you want to make it inviting, you talk about curb appeal in some way, well, this is also another way of having curb appeal.
Flowers on the signs.
Yeah, you're right,
it's
yeah,
like
they can't,
really-
yeah, it's like, they can't,
It's like,
right,
really?
exactly. So that's all, so we need to take a look at that. And it might be, again, just cleaning them up, it might need a paint job, in some cases, if the signs are that bad, we have to replace them, and then we have the money to do that, so,
Okay, well, yeah.
I think that's
I
something.
think replace it. You don't want to redesign the signs.
The signs will be the same, no, we're not gonna get into that. But, and I'm
You don't wanna
doing
do
it somewhat in jest with the Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy, that's good. They're able to do so.
The new ones for the Conservancy.
Right. The other, if you look at number 4 under discussion item, the little confab, we were trying to have like at least quarterly meetings, and I think we want to go back to that, and I would welcome all of us to be involved in that, to have like some joint meetings between our committee, the Greenways Open Space, the Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy, and the Bike and Pedestrian Committee, that, to sit and let's just have a little conversation as to like, hey, what's going on? What can we do together that could be, synergistic and make us, even more stronger or more developing certain projects or getting those things done. So that was supposed to happen. I was supposed to have a meeting. I did meet with Paul Glore, but I also had eye surgery that took, I was out of operation for a while here, so. But I'm since better, and I think I want to, but that's something that we want to.
I agree. So
do-
you can know what the other hand is doing, so we're more educated what
Right.
the two groups are doing, because I've learned a lot about an open space that I didn't know about coming
right.
from the Conservancy. and
No.
it would be good if we-
And vice versa.
And vice versa.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So anything else on that? So that's just
Yeah,
something that,
vice versa.
that's gonna happen. It's another one of those are something we have to follow up on, okay? So, and again, would you be adverse to having, I don't care if we have a huge, big meeting. I mean, more the merrier sometimes.
Now, you don't have anything set up.
I don't have anything set, but again, I want to reinitiate, like, okay, sometime, we'll see if we can't do something, not on a weekend in October, but like during an evening sometime in October, if we can get people together. Because we all, in many ways, we all share a common goal. We want to keep Grosse a beautiful place to live and to play, so. Anything else on that one? Okay. Bert, number 5, you want to talk a little bit about, or let's talk about the guide to nature areas?
Okay, so Cliff St. Pierre and I have been we updated the guide to natural areas of Grosse in 2019, and we did the previous one, which I think was 2015. So it's time to update it again since a lot of things have changed. So I haven't met with Cliff yet, but I did go through the current one, noting some changes. I got some comments and descriptions from Doug Thiel about the recent purchases of the Conservancy to add to the guide. And Greg Roginski from the Conservancy is the person who's always updated the map, so I'm sure we can get him to do that. So it's starting, and it'll take a while to do.
Right. We also have the new open space property that we purchased, the 2.02 acres north of Horse Mill, adjacent to our current property that we had. So now that's a much larger parcel than what we had, but it's also, that's the jokingly we call it the Cliff St. Pierre Preserve, but it's good. It's what we have. I know, and we may, Carl wanted to talk about this, and he certainly wants to talk more about it in our next meeting. So anything else, I'm sorry, Bert, anything else on the guide to?
No.
No, we're good. But at our next meeting, he wants to talk about the possibility of a millage, as we have had in the past, to help support either, because we had 2 millages that voters back in the 90s approved. They had 1 millage that we approved and voted for property acquisition. So when you're looking at, all these open space properties, that was monies that the township on a regular basis, the citizens allowed the township to tax them and to pay for, which they did. That money now in that fund is down, after the thousands that were in there, we're now down to 20,000 total for property acquisition. I can also tell you that we're, we are looking at our properties, and the question becomes, and the discussion is had, are we just happy with what we have, or do we need to get more open space property? Because the argument is, well, we have a hard enough time maintaining what we have, let alone trying to expand. So we may want to kind of like, when you're looking at a millage, which has not been assessed for more than 6 years, so citizens of the township have not paid either one of those, okay? But once the money was there, it also was depleted. The maintenance fund is also, is a separate millage, a tax levy that the voters approved, and that is now down to like maybe 130,000, 120-some thousand. But again, it's over a course of how many years that we also assessed it, and we accumulated the money, and now we are coming to the end of that. And again, that one too was not assessed anymore. We haven't been collecting tax dollars on that have already not been collected.
So are we looking at 2 different millages, or are we just looking at a maintenance millage?
Well, the answer is,
Doing separately.
yes. That's one of the discussions I think we're going to have, or should have.
But I guess another question,
go
thought
ahead.
that pops into mind is, if you're looking at a maintenance millage, there's a couple different ways you can look at it. You can do like a one-time, or actually I should say, a millage that lasts, X number of years
Right.
and that, or you could have it continue in one like you have for rec department or something like that, but obviously on a much
Right.
smaller scale. So every year you could have
A certain amount of money that
and
would
that you
be-
could have that for a long period
Right,
of time.
could be
and that,
designated,
but-
yes, yeah. And the answer to that is yes. Or there's even a possibility of blending the millages, okay? So we allow this organization or this body to at least make that determination. So whether the millage could be used for acquisition or for trail maintenance or for maintenance. Not even trail maintenance, just maintenance in that regard. So could we put them together? Should we not have the one, for acquisition? Should we only have one for maintenance? And that's, I think, going to be in our next discussion. because some of the millages, some of the tax millages are falling off. Okay, so not just ours has fallen off a long time ago, but there are other, and there's a whole big long chart, like when millages are done with and you don't have to pay it anymore. So you get a tax break, but also you got to realize maintaining what you have takes money. It's like a house.
It
So
was, the August election was all about money for, police and fire,
right,
et cetera, and so for us to put up another millage, I think we'd have to wait a year for sure. I know we'll
Well,
have that discussion later.
right, exactly.
Well, remember, the August ones were all renewals, so that didn't
Mm-hmm.
add anything to the increase in that, but you're,
Oh yeah,
Oh,
no,
yes.
but they're renewals. I mean, the question is, do you
Well,
want
that's true.
to? It's not gonna increase your taxes. Are you happy paying whatever you're paying? The answer may be no. Okay, but you also realize that this is something that we have to weigh, and Carl certainly was going to bring that to our next meeting. So please make sure that, right. Well, and people, there was a school levy that obviously, two school levies that were passed that people, so Grosse citizens support Grosse programs, okay? Whether it's in the, in the township government or in the schools, and so they generally always have.
along the line of you said we have about roughly $20,000 left in the bond for acquisition and that. Well, that's not enough money to do anything with, so is it just kind of sit there, or what are the options for that amount? Unless say somebody comes in and says, okay, you give us 20, we'll
Right.
give you $100,000 worth of land or something like that.
And that happens. I mean, that happens. Look at the Nature and Land Conservancy. I mean, they received properties that they were able to turn around and sell and acquire more money, okay? No, in answer to your question, I think it's just a question of okay, here's what we have left. There may be a buyer who wants to, give us a reduced amount on a property. It might be $100,000 parcel, and they want some consideration. They want something in exchange. Maybe they only want $10,000. Maybe they want $20,000. And again, it's up to us at least to make the recommendation to the board whether or not we want to follow that and do that. So.
But that's really the only option we have with those funds.
Oh, you cannot, yeah, so the funds, hold your question, let me explain this. The funds cannot be used for any other purpose, okay, than that which the voters approved, okay?
And
So-
that was
and that was-
researched by,
Pardon me?
I said, and that was researched by Jim Budney, going to the Attorney General, hoping to be able to use
Right,
open space funds for other purposes.
correct.
I guess the only other option would be that you just end it and wipe it off.
Right, I mean, that's the other thing, but we don't have the power, or like, don't believe we do, I have to get a legal opinion. You cannot, once it's been, this is, specified for this very specific, amount, this is what the people decided, this is what they approved, it's like, oh, well, you can't, play voodoo math with, folks' money, so, right, so you can't do that.
No, I think that BPAC is also contemplating a need for funds, and that's been
Right,
in conversation, just for quite a while. And each time, whenever it comes up, they're faced with the same issue, that, there's other millages on the ballot, and so you don't want to trot another one out, so
right.
whether we want to think about partnering with them.
Right, oh, very much so. No, there's a lot of options we have to look at. Anything else, or any other discussion items that we need clarification on, or? So Zoe, you see what you're getting into?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
What
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
what does BPAC stand for?
Okay, it's the Bicycle and Pedestrian
Advisory.
Advisory Committee.
They oversee things like the bike paths, the bridges related to that sort of thing.
And we're looking to coordinate with them, okay? Because some of the bike paths go through open space. For example, now that you have the Bruce Jones property, on the north end by the toll bridge. One of the concerns we have is that the Conservancy has their property, open spaces just down the street, south of the Bruce Jones Preserve. Part of the issue is you want to be able to get safely across the street. So can we put a bike crossing, or can we put a pedestrian crossing to cross Meridian, which is extremely busy, okay, from the east side to the west side and vice versa, that you could be going, you want to go to there and you want to access it.
Well, there is one. There is a crossing by where the bike path stops on the east side and then goes to there's a crossing there.
Yeah, but you want to be able to access the Bruce Jones
Don't you want to have
property.
one closer to?
Yes.
But in the horse mill property, that's closer to
Oh,
the
yeah.
crossing for the bike path.
And that could very well be where we access it. But part of that's, you got apartments, you got private property too. You got to go across. You can't, you know. Yeah, but that's something that we need to look at. Anything else? Anything for the good of the cause? Yes.
Bill, just something you just said about the Conservancy reselling property. To my knowledge, I don't think once we get property that we resell. Am I misunderstanding?
Open space cannot. Open space cannot. The
Well, I
cons-
don't think the
I don't-
Conservancy
I-
does
I-
either.
I don't think, maybe you misunderstood what I said. I don't think I said that.
Well, oh, you weren't talking about the Conservancy reselling property.
No, I'm saying like you could have a private buyer or a private seller who wanted to give $100,000 parcel for 10,000 or 20,000. That's a private exchange.
Yeah, it's private.
But not the, no, my understanding is that once it's in the
Hands of the
conservation easements, or
It's-
once it's
it's-
in,
it's
it's
a done
there
deal.
in
It's done.
or in perpetuity.
Yeah,
I
right.
would like to think that.
Thank you for clarifying that.
No.
Thank you.
The only way I believe it can be changed would be a vote by the citizens to change the, lack of a better term, constitution of what, open space is and that.
Right. Oh, yeah. So let's say, you want to sell to a developer part of an open space property. That has to be approved by voters. I mean, you can do it.
Oh, you can do that.
You can do it, but it's a question of you have to have that approved. And I'm not, this chairman would not support that.
Yeah, no. Defeats the purpose,
It does, so.
what open space is.
So anything else for the good of the cause? I could entertain a motion to, first off, there are no public to make comment. And again, even if you did, you're limited to 3 minutes. And then, is there a motion to adjourn at 6:15? That's pretty good, guys.
So move.
Okay,
Second.
moved by Mr. Geis, second by Mr. Bonney. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Good, thank you. So now you know what you're getting into, huh?
Yep.